All right, we've seen Peter Schiff and Jamie Dimon say Bitcoin is going to die multiple times. Same thing with Warren Buffett. But we've also seen like Bitcoin Maxi saying altcoins are going to die. I'm here to tell you that neither of those things are going to happen. Bitcoin's obvious. Altcoins, there's one big reason, and we're going to talk about that later. Let's cover the Bitcoin first. It should be fairly obvious that Bitcoin's not going to die. There's too much financial interest from big vested parties. Look at BlackRock. They've got 600 something thousand Bitcoin. It's like $50 billion. They're not going to let that die. Fidelity's also got a big chunk. We have pension funds getting into Bitcoin. We have countries getting into Bitcoin. Donald Trump wants to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And if he actually even uses like a revalue gold to actually buy it, then, like you don't want to lose all that money. Also, like at least for the 4 years, his own media company has $2.3 billion in it now. That's like their fundraising this morning. They bought $2.3 billion in crypto. So he's going to pump that crap because he wants to enrich himself, obviously. And who can blame him? The other thing is, with all these big institutions having that much interest, they'll find a way to solve the mining problem. Yeah, it is a problem. It has to grow exponentially. They'll figure out a way somehow for them to actually get rewarded off fees, or the government might actually run some nodes and validators themselves and get that hash rate up, so the network doesn't actually just go kaput, because there's so much money in it right now that it would not benefit anyone if Bitcoin suddenly spontaneously combusted and flamed out, because there is like a $2 trillion market cap, and that would be like the biggest scandal ever if it just went to zero. If it like goes to 60-50% of its price, it doesn't matter. We've seen Bitcoin do that before. But if it just dies completely, that would be the biggest scandal ever, and that would be devastating to crypto as a whole. But since big players all have a stake in it, it's not going anywhere. Altcoins, however, don't have that. You got a couple of altcoins like Solana XRP that have like some millions of dollars in buyers' commitment, but realistically, they don't have the buying power of Bitcoin. Even Ethereum does not. So you're saying, why can't they just die? Now, specific altcoins can indeed die. We see them die every so often, very, very often indeed. But altcoins as a whole will never die, and it's very, very simple. Why? Because it's legalized gambling. I don't think those people that think that Bitcoin maxis that say altcoins are going to die, I don't think they realize how big of a demand legalized gambling is. But they should if they're not blind, because you can look at DraftKings, FanDuel, Prize Picks, wherever they're legal, they are freaking massive. You look at Polymarkets, Kalshi, they are growing by leaps and bounds. There is just a massive, massive market for legalized gambling. And here's the thing about like the blockchain legalized gambling. You can't stop it. You can't stop crypto from trading. You can do like PvP. There'll be like DEXs. People are getting more and more used to it. They can access it via VPNs. It's international. No one country can shut it down. And it can basically exist on a micronation too. So, if people want it, they're going to get it. And I think most governments have basically given up on trying to limit them in their legalized gambling. I mean, they might want to make sure they have to pay taxes or whatever, but they've basically like cut it out and like trying to prevent them from doing legalized gambling, because realistically, I mean, you can't stop them. If people want it, they're going to go get it. And the demand for legalized gambling is never going to go down. And you can do this from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to drive to the casino. And that's another way gambling suits, because the casinos are always packed. Like no matter what day it is, there's always people in those riverboats in those casinos, at least around in St. Louis. And the whole chunk over here, there's people there as well. Or they're playing bingo, cards, or whatever. So that's a massive, massive demand. So yeah, you've basically got a packed house, and if you don't have, if you can do it from the comfort of your home, and even you can even pretend to tell your friends that you're investing when you're doing like 100x leverage on Bonk. Now, if you're doing 100x leverage on Bonk or some crappy meme coin, it's gambling. It's straight up gambling. It's no better than putting your money on black and roulette. Yes, you can pull out some fancy charts, but if you're leveraging like 20, 30, 40, 50 to 1, 100 to 1 on a meme coin, it's straight up gambling. There is no technical analysis to read. All it has to do is move 1% like the other way and you get liquidated, depending on how much you're leveraging. Even if it moves like 5% the other way, you get liquidated. Altcoins do that all the time. And it's not that it's not that unoften that they just get hacked or there was an insider job and you lose all your money anyways. So leveraging that much is straight up gambling. And, doing the stuff that this James Wynn stuff guy does, he has some collateral, so he has some strategy to it, but that's like kind of gambling too. It's basically high risk, high reward investing is more or less gambling. It's like, poker is gambling, but you can have a strategy to win at poker depending on how good you are, obviously, against other players. But the variable there is how good the other players are. The house always wins because they take a rake, just like the exchanges always win because they take your fees. But essentially, it's gambling. If you're doing like high leverage, margin trading, or any of that stuff, futures trading, I consider that gambling, especially if you're doing it on smaller meme coins. If you're doing it on like Bitcoin and you're only going like 2x and you have a long-term plan, that's more of the investing route. But if you're like above 10x on any coin, it's like straight up gambling. Some of you may not like hearing that, but it's absolutely true. But that's also the reason that altcoins are just never going to die. It's not because they have utility, because realistically, that utility thing has been used to incentivize us forever. And it just really hasn't panned out. I mean, even the blockchain technologies that are actually getting adoption and getting transactions, it's not really affecting the price of the coin. So you can't really say that like, oh, I'm going to get massive usage and then my price is going to skyrocket, because we've seen chains get some usage and their price does not skyrocket at all. It's not because people are really interested in the technology, because most people, let's face it, are here to make generational wealth. It has nothing to do with the technology. And I guess like 95% of the people is here purely for the money. So that's not really the argument. The idealism that it's like, screw the man and all that stuff, I don't think that many people really care about that. It's really all about the money. So it's not really about the crypto creed. It's all about the money. It is just essentially legalized gambling in a nutshell. But that is a great industry to be in. And that's why I'm very, very confident that neither Bitcoin or altcoins are going to die. And altcoins are at no greater risk than Bitcoin of dying, because people have found this thing that they've wanted for ages. Because remember, the stock market has a lot of regulations and there's like red tape for some people to actually enter. Plus they have like, high fees and gateways at times. Whereas like, crypto, there's no there's no bar of entry. There's no you have to be a qualified investor to buy this coin. You can actually buy a lot of coins, and even like a lot of unqualified investors can actually get in on the pre-buys. If you hold enough BNB, you can get on that Launchpad stuff. You can use VPNs to cover your tracks. There's ways to essentially buy anonymously. And, people use all those methods. Like Binance doesn't accept US users, but because they got sued because they didn't filter out US users. And it's easy to see why they didn't filter out US users, because it's hard to filter out all the US users. Of course, the SEC dropped that suit against Binance recently. So people are willing to think of all sorts of methods, to basically do this legalized gambling. And one by one, the country's governments are actually caving in. As long as they can tax it, realistically, they're not going to care much. And I think they've basically said, hey, you want to gamble? Go at it. Lose all your money. Doesn't matter to us. Don't come crying to us. Because right now, the United States SEC has basically said, we're not really interested in regulating anything. You guys do whatever you want, but we're not responsible for your losses, which is perfect. And I do think this meme coin gambling thing is going to grow. Because let's face it, gambling is quite addictive. I know people that lose a lot of money in leverage trading and they go right back to leverage trading. I don't leverage trade massively because I think it's stupid. But there are people that just get that high. They win once and then they lose 10 times and they go back the 11th time to lose again. People get massively wrecked in this, but they have the thrill in doing it. It's just like riding a roller coaster. A lot of people actually hate the feeling of basically your stomach falling out. Now, I don't really ride roller coasters that, but some people really get the thrill of riding roller coasters. Same thing with accelerating hot sports cars. I don't really get it. I don't really care much for it. But some people really, really like that thrill. And it's the same thing. I like playing poker. I like playing Mahjong or Texas Hold'em. That thrill of flipping over that final card, hoping to get your runner straight or something, or runner flush or whatever. By the way, that's a terrible strategy. Don't do that if you're actually going to play poker. Is the same thing for these meme coins. maybe this one dude or this one celebrity will actually pump it and I'll make $1 million. And the thing is, like, the people are willing to take massive, massive risks. But even if like 1,000 people lose and that one person wins a lot, he's going to go and tell his story, and no one's going to hear about the 1,000 people that lost because no one talks about their losses. He's going to tell everyone about like how much he won and get more people excited in this gambling. So it spreads like wildfire. So I think the alt market is only going to get bigger, but not with the coins that some of you want. And that's why alts will never die, because it's legalized gambling. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.